Tony Khan has officially spoken out. He's dropped a statement. It's only fair that I bring you guys this massive update surrounding Jeff Hardy. Also, an AEW wrestler is no longer coming back to the company. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. We're going to show you guys a screen. We're going to check out Twitter. Tony Khan, we are able to resume contact with Jeff Hardy this afternoon. AEW does not condone Jeff's alleged behavior. We've made it clear to Jeff that we'll assist him in getting treatment for substance abuse issues, which he has indicated that he's open to receiving. In the interim, he is suspended without pay, and he can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to this national hotline, 1-800-662-HELP. Tony Khan, CEO and president of All Elite Wrestling. I think that's the right move. I've been saying it, as you guys know, as I've been following this story. I have been saying it's really, really important that AEW helps Jeff Hardy here. I know the social media stuff, people talking about WWE and AEW back and forth. Guys, this ain't about some bullshit tribalism, all right? Like, it's a serious situation, and the good thing is Jeff Hardy's going to get the help that he needs, okay? That's first and foremost. Secondly, this is good for AEW to step in here and realize that this is obviously more important than wrestling. I don't think I really doubted Tony Khan. You know, I don't really think Tony Khan would have put on Jeff Hardy in this match or whatever it may have been. You know what I mean? This match is no longer happening, apparently. They're no longer advertising Hardys for the tag team championship belts. And I know there's a lot of people who want analysis on what I think might be happening here in terms of the tag team championship match. I don't really give a shit about that tag team championship match. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that are bigger than this. Obviously, Jeff Hardy getting the help that he needs is what's more important. But again, this was the official statement from Tony Khan. So I don't see how anybody can really be against this. I think it's really important that AEW gets to the point where, and I get it, right? We were able to resume contact. More than likely, they had a hard time getting a hold of Jeff, whatever it may be. But I'm glad that AEW didn't waste any time on this. I'm glad that AEW got straight to it. And then also a friendly reminder to help people out for those who are in need. I've read your guys' comments, especially some of you who have mentioned specifically that you guys may have had your own troubles with alcoholism and stuff like that. So with substance abuse, nobody really knows what AEW's policy is. Nobody really knows what AEW's wellness policy is. Nobody really knows. It's not publicly discussed. So, it's just good to see that AEW's taking the right path. This is the right path, in my opinion. It's not about somebody getting a job or losing a job. It's about somebody getting help. That's what's important here. I also want to make it very clear in this video too, because I have been following this story, the likelihood of Jeff Hardy having, so there's been this talk, right? I talked about it with Warner Media, pulling him from advertisements, commercials, and stuff like that. The possibilities of this getting worse, like, I feel like this is probably the end of it, right? Like, if Jeff Hardy's going to lose his job, I think, like, we would have seen it by now, something like that. So I don't want to speculate on that, but I don't think there's much more to really expect in terms of updates. We know that he's been pulled from advertising. We know he's no longer being advertised for Dynamite. We know he's no longer part of the commercials. And at some point when he comes back, he comes back. I think a lot of people are trying to compare this to Jon Moxley's situation. I don't really see them as fair comparisons. But at the same time, too, getting the help that you need is what's important, and all the other stuff comes after. So in terms of the wrestling stuff, I don't expect Jeff Hardy to be fired or released or anything like that. I think this is pretty much the end of it. If there is a major update, I'll keep you guys updated in that regard. Otherwise, that is the official statement from Tony Khan. Now, with that being said, guys, I do want to talk about some other news because I thought this was incredibly interesting. So we all know kind of what's been happening with Jake Atlas. And it's not really a surprise to anybody, but Jake Atlas, a lot of people didn't know this. So Jake Atlas was signed to AEW, but technically under a per appearance deal. Now, I don't know what this means because they gave him the graphic, right? Jake Atlas is All Elite, but according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, Fightful was told this morning that former NXT talent Jake Atlas was not coming back to AEW. Atlas was injured in his first week in All Elite Wrestling, and initially we were told by AEW higher-ups that they were hopeful his injury was not as bad as feared. However, he was sidelined with a torn ACL. Despite having received an all-elite graphic generally reserved for full-time signings, we've heard from multiple AEW sources that claimed Jake Atlas was on a per-appearance deal. When he was injured, that deal was paused, and Atlas was no longer officially tied to the company. In May, Atlas was arrested for domestic violence against his boyfriend after scratching him. Fightful reached out to AEW for comment in May, but didn't hear back. So with that being said, AEW, Tony Khan has responded to the Jeff Hardy stuff. They have not responded to the Jake Atlas stuff, but it does appear that Jake Atlas is no longer back in the company. Now, to me, we don't know what his contract status was with the company. So if he's released, if he's gone, he's not being brought back. I totally get it. It totally makes sense, right? For the situation at hand. With that being said, one thing I do want to see, AEW, and they don't have to be this way, but it would be nice from a perspective of just being a fan, right? I would love for them to be a little bit more transparent about how long they're signing people for. It's something I've been wanting in wrestling. You don't even have to tell us the money at this point. I'm not even too concerned about the money aspect, but it would be nice for them to tell us, hey, like we signed Jake Atlas for 5 years. We signed Bryan Danielson for 5 years. We signed this person for 5 years. I understand it's a mixed topic. A lot of people don't really want to talk about it. A lot of people they don't really care too much about contract details. But I kind of compare it to sports, right? Like it's really cool when the Pistons sign somebody, and I know that the Detroit Pistons have this player for 5 years. When the Detroit Lions get Jared Goff, and I know that they have him for 2 more years, or whatever it may be. I'm not saying AEW has to do that, but it would be really cool because I think there was a lot of confusion as to Jake Atlas being an AEW wrestler. Is he not an AEW wrestler? Obviously, when you get the Jake Atlas is all elite thing, like you're thinking this guy's part of the company, then it turns out he's not really part of the company. Maybe he was supposed to get a full-time deal and this was kind of like a trial. I mean, nobody really knows those details. I'm not saying AEW owes it to us, but I'm just saying it would be really cool for AEW when they announce signings, you know, they could kind of treat it like a sport. AEW says they're a sport. Why not? You know what I mean? You don't have to tell us, hey, this is the amount of money per year or whatever it may be, but that's how I kind of look at it. With that being said, I'm really excited for AEW to see what they do. Road Rage or Dynamite. Obviously, AEW has some really big plans for it. Hair versus hair match. Even with the tag team match being pulled and whatnot, it looks like AEW is ready to go and have a big show. So I give AEW their props, man. They've been dealing with a lot of stuff. I might be critical of them, but they do get a lot of shit thrown in their way, and not all of it is justified. It's not always their fault. And as a business owner, Tony Khan is doing a good job of handling a lot of these things that are happening. I can't imagine how difficult that would be, truthfully. So as much as I may criticize them for their product, just like I criticize WWE, my point is I want to see these companies improve and get better. And I think right now they're both doing a good job with certain stuff, and they're both doing pretty bad with some stuff. But this was a huge win for Tony Khan. I appreciate the transparency for Tony Khan in the way he's handling the Jeff Hardy situation and the Jake Atlas thing. You know, it's not really a surprise. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.